purpose of Music and Mental Health is to allow artists, musicians, bands, singers, DJs, and the like to share their story and journey with music, as well as shed light on what mental health means to each individual who shares their story. This will help destigmatize those two words. What two words are we talking about? Mental health. Mental health should be something that we hear and do not feel like we want nothing to do with. According to the American Psychological Association, suicide rates have increased significantly over the past 2 decades. Why? I think that is because we have not done a really good job at shedding light on mental health and making it something that's just part of our everyday lives. You sharing your story will help someone else through a difficult time in life and may even save a life. I also feel moved in this chapter of life to do more than just focus on me. I want to show more of Austin, my love for Austin, and highlight Austin's own, the men and women behind the music, to tell their stories, share their experiences, and take us on a journey of their life as it relates to music, past and present. We are called to keep sharing our stories and not being ashamed of the losses and failures that we have throughout our journey of life. So it's important in life to always be searching for the better path, always be trying to find your way, find your path, a better path. I'm Tina Ricks. I'm 35 years old. I'm a licensed mental health professional, psychotherapist, AKA licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm a mom, CEO of Better Path Family Counseling and Consulting. We started in Houston, but we grew really fast and well in Austin, so I made Austin my home. I'm also the CEO of Tina Ricks Music and Film. It's a newer company that I started out of my love for music and my love for creating, and I felt like it was an area that was missing, merging the two, mental health and music together. So my goal is to release a lot of different projects under Thought Positive Media, and this is the first one that we are going to be working on. I went into the mental health field because I came out of a family that it wasn't the best. It wasn't the best environment for one to thrive in or grow up in. Around 3-4 years old, I used to play a lot with my older sisters. It was 3 of us. And when my dad came back into the States, I think he was in Europe, everything kind of changed. Not for the better. It kind of got really bad. So there was a lot of sexual abuse, there was physical abuse, and there was verbal abuse. But that was my life. That was my life until I was 14, and I left home at 14. So around 2007, 2008, I met my first husband, and we dated and everything, and things were going well. What I really liked about that marriage was that the sense of family. Family was a void that I had, and along with him came family. So we would have like big Christmases and presents everywhere, and we always gathered at his parents' house, and they were just so loving to my daughter. And we had a son as well. And it was a good time. It was a good time that really kind of filled a void of the family that I felt like was missing from my life. And we were together for about 5 years, three years married, 2 years like dating. And it was a decent chapter. There was some elements that, kind of made things a little problematic. It just really didn't work out in the end. So I decided to walk away from that and filed for a divorce and moved on. Fast forward like a few months after that, I decided, I was gonna really get into my music. So I started up a band and started working on an EP. And my band was called Tina and the Focus Band. And we did like a lot of gigs around Houston. At that time I was in Houston, Texas, and we opened up for different comedians. Yeah, it was a nice time. It was a liberating time because I was transitioning out of, you know, a marriage and into, you know, being by myself, and, you know, I was empowering myself through, you know, music and artistry and creating my own music and everything. So I did create an EP. It was like 4 tracks. Some things went on with production that it didn't really come out the way that I wanted it to. Just the legalities behind it, person that kind of helped with it a lot kind of did like a switcheroo at the very end after we recorded, and it's just kind of like, you know what, this is not what I thought it was going to be. This is a headache. I'm walking away from this mess. I'm just going to go back to mental health and help people. This is not what I thought it would be. So marriage number 2, we got married at the very end of 2015, and the thing about my present marriage that I can say has been good is that it's a marriage where I was accepted for who I was and respected for who I was. This individual supported my dreams and vision for what I wanted to have for Better Path Family Counseling, and he seemed like the guy he seemed like the guy to fit in that role. I'm always trying to get things back to a place of peace and kind of quiet. I think a lot. My mind's always going and creating things, so I kind of need like a neutral or peaceful environment to do that in. And I found in the marriage that I was having some problems with peace. But I have a busy schedule, and he has, you know, his own schedule and things like that. So we try to, you know, have our family time, and it's hard. I mean, no woman, no one, you know, gets married or remarried for that matter and thinks that, you know, you'll end up in a situation where you're not in the same home day to day. And that's kind of where we're at. And, you know, marriage is, you know, that happens. It doesn't necessarily mean that the marriage is over. Sometimes it does mean that. But if we want to put a label on it, it would be separated. And it's okay. Better Path Family Counseling and Consulting is a mental health company where we work with, you know, we work with all different populations. So you could be having a situation where you were abused or you were the abuser, and we also see you for that. I created the company Tina Ricks Music and Film because I wanted to really involve the community in healing and arts. To me, Austin's very special, so I wanted to kick off any kind of project that I did, film-wise, in Austin. Sometimes we really enjoy all this good music and all this good artistry. We take it for granted. We clap, we stand up, we holler, we praise. However we, you know, express that we are enjoying what we're taking in and consuming, we really don't think about that person, that musician, that artist, as a human that's going through the human experiences and having challenges, difficulties, adversities. They have a story, and that story is embedded and is interwoven into their artistry. And I think that's important to highlight that part, because I think sometimes we see perfection and we don't realize that no one is perfect. So I think it's important that whenever we hear our favorite artist or artist that we're discovering and we hear their story, we're able to relate and we're able to connect on a different level, on a deeper level. That's kind of what I want to have everyone share with you, is their story and their experiences and how that all relates to music for them. So I'm just really happy about where life is now, where the business is now, and all of the people that are willing to help along the way to make this project all come to pass. So hopefully you like it, and thank you for watching.
What's up, everybody? My name is Shaka.
And my name is Kidada. We are Riders Against the Storm.
Get lifted, get lifted, get lifted, get high. Drop It's like lightning. That's how it's striking their mind upon nine, how it's jumping in.
Excited to be here with Riders Against the Storm.
Yeah.
And can you tell me more about Riders Against the Storm and more about yourself, Shaka and Kidada?
Man, before we moved to Austin, we were in a place called Providence, Rhode Island. We were doing a lot of work in the community, grassroots organizing. I was a full-time teacher. I was also running an arts nonprofit. We taking like kids that were like the bombers and taggers and like put them in a space and like teaching them how to screen print, teaching them how to like paint murals for fees and like, you know, just trying to get them off the street.
Yeah.
And doing all this in the swirl, we were also doing music, and we also had an all-black sketch comedy group.
You have a lot going on.
A lot. Despite that, like we felt like there was like just a ceiling. Whatever we were doing, it just felt like it just couldn't grow anymore. So we were in a kind of state of like, you know, depression or just kind of like feeling a little lost. We would throw these parties at our house, and it was largely for our community, our peers. So there was like teachers, social workers, people that are organizing in the community, and a lot of these folks were dealing with a lot of stress. And so like the parties that we would throw would be like big stress relievers for them. And like so, you know, as we're doing that, we're also working on our music, and we're just kind of making these connections. Like, you know, this is doing something special for our community. So we're just kind of making these connections within ourselves, but also like trying to figure out, all right, we're artists, we're musicians, how do we make a living doing this?
Right.
So that's kind of what ended up bringing us to Austin. But before that, like when we first started, our name, Riders Against the Storm, it comes from a song called Ella's Song by Sweet Honey and the Rock. Okay. Sweet Honey and the Rock is an all-female a cappella group, and they sang freedom songs. That's how they got together and started singing. And so Ella's song is, they took lyrics from Ella Baker, one of Ella Baker's speech, she's a civil rights activist. And in the song they talk about, we who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. And then later in the song they talk about passing the torch to the young who will run against the storm. Mm-hmm. So we took our name from them, strong women with a strong, you know, role in civil rights and things like that, because we're the children of the civil rights movement.
We're not waiting for the victory in the future, we're claiming it today, right here, right now, that we have overcome. Say we have overcome. We have overcome. Say we have overcome.
When I step into the room, in a viewer look surprised, grinning all up in my face, barely look me in my eyes.
I am the child of immigrants who came from Haiti. And a lot of people migrated, you know, from maybe the 60s to the 80s, migrated en masse from the islands during that time. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people don't even realize that Providence, Rhode Island, at the time, anyway, we were there, everything's getting gentrified, but at the time we were there, it was mostly people of color. That is a city that's mostly people of color. Yeah.
City.
I mean, literally, if you were looking for West African culture, East African culture, if you're looking for Caribbean culture, Guatemalan, Colombian, it kind of runs Cambodians.
Had a lot of love from the Cambodian people.
Yeah, Cambodian community. I mean, to run the gamut as far as cultures are concerned in this tiny little packed city. So it had this culture per capita that really was unmatched. So it was kind of an interesting place for us to land. He was going to school there. My family had relocated so that we could, you know, just find a better life, something more calm that's not too far from New York or Boston. Right. So a lot of people made that move. It's being in Austin, it was a little difficult to find a community of practitioners, spiritual practitioners that's exactly in the keeping of what we practice. But we were able to find people who practice Ifa, etc., African spiritual system in a cultural center called the Orun Cultural Center for the Arts. Okay. When we first got here, which was really sensational. It was a small space, and we held our first shows there. Mm-hmm. But the practitioners there also during the day would be a barbershop, and then they would host cultural events at capoeira, wodas there in the evening and on the weekends, and it was just a fantastic magical cultural space. So that was our anchor. Like most people's introduction to Austin is not that deeply cultural. Ours immediately was that deeply cultural. Okay. So even when we came to Austin, in a city that's, under this kind of lens in particular, like we're gonna find it. It doesn't matter. That's our gravitational pull. So Africa was no different. Even being here, we started to find different connections and calling on our ancestors to ask us how to replenish our own vessel, which was really, really critical because the work that we do here can get a lot of pushback. The work that we do here may not get the support that it really deserves, quite honestly, because of the cultural impact that we've had, what we've cultivated, our relationships, the quality of it is very high. And so it was a gravitational pull. There's a long story about my family tree and me being able to source my family tree and then seeing that it went all the way back to Benin, to African royalty in Benin. That is part of like the one of the foundational things that we look to facilitate liberating in people through our art and through our work. It's like, how do you access your true self? And that goes beyond color. So like our shows, our programs, yes, we're very Afro-presenting, and yes, we're very proud, but we welcome all people because that's what Africa does.
Yeah. But the best way to do it is like when you just like don't have any inhibitions. So that's like when we talk about body rock, the dance part that we do.
That's where it comes in.
That's where it comes in because like you can, once your guard is down, other things can come into play. But like most of us, we're like kind of numb and we're lacking sensitivity because we're stuck in traffic for an hour. Yeah. Working jobs that don't have much meaning in our lives. We don't have real connections with other human beings. Like, we're isolated. So the party becomes an opportunity for like real connection.
Let go.
Yes.
Yeah. Be free.
So what would you say to somebody watching that is having some identity issues, maybe doesn't know which way to go? They're not like normal, they are weird. They're not in Austin where it's okay to be weird. They feel lost. They don't feel prideful. They don't have a pretty family story. They don't have that wonderful fairy tale love with highly educated parents, and they grew up in a very impoverished and oppressed type of an environment. What would you say to them?
I would say that's normal. I would say that like if you peel back most people, you'd be surprised what people go through. You may look on the outside and see something that you think is shiny, but on the inside, they've been through a lot, and there's normal is that's what's normal, what's weird. You're you, and whatever you've been through, that's for you to like learn from. So, life is not about perfection. It's not about being, it's just about keeping it moving. Believe in yourself. What do you want to do? Don't get caught up in like, I'm weird or this person's normal. Find it. Look through our history of people that were called weird, and what they changed. The weird ones are the ones that change everything. That's what I would say. I would say like, you're beautiful, whatever scars you got, rock them. Because at the end of the day, pain is a part of the process. You have to go through pain. You can't avoid it. And if you try to avoid pain, that's when you start to get even more down in the rabbit hole. You start taking drugs, you try to cover up. Like, no, you have to feel the pain. When you're working out and you work out to get that burn, that's the pain. That's what allows you to develop muscle. We can't spend our life trying to avoid pain. And that's what a lot of the problem comes in.
Hello, Miss Virginia Ramsey. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thanks for taking a minute to chat with me. You're the executive director here at Oasis on Lake Travis, right?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. So can you tell me a little bit more about some of the ways that you help local musicians with their careers and, kind of support the music community here?
Well, here at the Oasis, we're very passionate about our live music venues and our bands. We're real close to them. We know that we support them by helping them get out. Their reputations are, extended, and we're supporting them that way. But also, when our guests come, they get to appreciate music. Music is the great equalizer, and they get to come to this venue and hear bands that they may not necessarily get to hear any other place.
You're providing
and
exposure.
Providing that for the bands, and we provide a very fun family environment. Families can come bring their kiddos up here as well to our music venues, and it's great fun to watch all the dancing and with the families. And what we do is we also give to a lot of charities, including the music charities that we give to, hundreds and hundreds of charities over the years. We kind of focus on children's charities, but then that works right back into charities that deal with the disabilities and the mental health and things like that. And we found that through music, that is a wonderful way to do it. So we have that every year. We do special things like that.
That is wonderful. Y'all are making a big impact in a positive way.
Mr. Terrio is the owner of the Oasis.
Okay.
Has created this beautiful place for us to have not only artists, that we appreciate our artists of every genre, as well as our music.
What you got here?
Oh, well, I have a present for you in our gift shop here at the
presents.
Oasis.
Oh, that is really cute.
This is a t-shirt that we sell. The company is called Outhouse, and they produce this for us in our gift shop. And you'll see that it's got some famous icons and establishments, music establishments around Austin, which is very important. And all the proceeds, 50% of the proceeds of their sales goes back to HAM.
HAM,
so that's
the Healthcare Alliance for Austin Musicians?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
We are scheduled to speak with them. I spoke with Renee, the CEO, and she's excited to tell some more about, their organization and how they do help Austin musicians.
That's
so that
right.
would be awesome.
And so
Thank you.
we support that in our gift shop. And we also, the only bottled water that we sell in the gift shop is called Austin Music Water.
Music
and
Water.
And this group also supports HAM, and then we give back, and they give a particular amount of their proceeds back to the musicians.
And that goes to Sims?
It goes to both HAM
Both
and
HAM
Sims.
and Sims. Awesome. That's so great. You're doing awesome work here, and I love how you're supporting, the artist and making sure that they know that, you care, and it's not just about, your venue. It's about making sure that you're supporting the whole community as a whole. So I really appreciate you meeting with me.
You're welcome. Oh, thank you.
I'm thrilled to be meeting with Renee Collins, the CEO of HAM today. She has been very gracious in allowing us to hang out with the wonderful nonprofit organization. HAM stands for the Health Alliance for Austin Musicians and has such a wonderful mission here in the city. HAM has helped over 5,300 musicians access over $70 million in healthcare value since they began in 2005. These include health services such as dental work, doctor visits, prescriptions, behavioral health, psychiatric counseling sessions, eye exams, outpatient procedures, specialist referrals, hearing screenings, and more. I'm appreciative of the warm welcome, and I'm so ready to learn more.
Well, thanks so much, Tina, for coming by HAM to visit with us. We're so excited to tell you about what we do.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. So do you mind talking a little bit about HAM and what that stands for? And
Sure. HAM is Health Alliance for Austin Musicians, and we are actually entering into our 15th year. We were founded in 2005, and we were really founded, it's a real unique story. We were founded by a local businesswoman and philanthropist by the name of Robin Shivers, who was very active throughout the city. And towards the middle of her career, she loved music and started working with Austin musicians. And what she found out was that these musicians were barely making ends meet, and they didn't have the access to health care or affordable services. that they needed. And so she put together her influence and her contacts and created HAM so that musicians would have access to affordable healthcare services. And from there, we've grown into, we've helped over 5,700 Austin musicians access, I think it's over $73 million in healthcare services.
Wow.
And we do that through partnerships and collaborations with existing healthcare partners and providers in the city, as well as partnerships with other nonprofits.
What are some ways that, HAM has helped promote local artists, like the young and old? There's a lot of people moving to Austin.
Yeah.
How are you able to get the word out there about, the fact that, hey, we're here if you need us?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. One of the things that I told you earlier when we were just chatting was I think one of our challenges is we want to make sure that the younger generation understands that HAM is here. We've done a really good job with sort of the old school Austin musicians, but we have a wide net that we cast, and we have pretty much every genre, every age that you can imagine. So we have, singer-songwriters, we have rock, we have Tejano, we have hip-hop, we have classical musicians. We've really run the wide gamut, and a lot of what happens, of course, is word of mouth. But one of our challenges as a nonprofit is that I always say we don't ever have enough funding to do everything we want to do. So while we reach out and we try to grow, we also have to be cognizant of the fact that every year we do run out of funding, not because of mismanagement, but just because, like every nonprofit, it's a challenge.
How has receiving access to healthcare services been beneficial for the local music community?
I think nationally in the news every day you hear about healthcare and how important it is to all of us, whether you're a musician or anyone. Having access to affordable healthcare services is really, I believe it's a basic human right, and we need to do that for everyone. Our focus is on musicians because music is such an important part of the city, and we want to make sure that our musicians stay here and they stay healthy and well and alive and playing music. Because if a musician is sick, I don't think people realize how that might affect the whole ecosystem. Absolutely. If one musician is sick and can't play, not only does the show at a venue not have a musician playing, but their band doesn't get paid. They're all the people that are working that night can't work, don't earn income because the musician is sick and they can't get on. They can't go play. The second thing is that if a musician has a chronic health disease, whether it's mental health, whether it's diabetes or anything like that, they have to be able to spend their energy doing their creation and doing their work and their music and not worrying about how am I going to afford to pay for my medication or how am I going to get access to someone to help me. And one of the other things that I think access to healthcare does for a community, which is why we're so passionate about it as Austin being a music city, we're the live music capital of the world. So that's a huge economic driver for our city. So musicians matter. Musicians are really the heart and soul of the city. And so if we, as a community, as a business community, and as a city, if you weren't passionate about music and didn't care about music and musicians because you love music, you should do it because it's what's driving this city, and so it's healthy for the city. Absolutely. And that means that it's healthy for the musicians, but it really is helpful for the city. And so we believe that access to health care for our musicians is just critical, and it's a non-negotiable, and that's what we do. We work to make sure our musicians are taken care of in this city. So, I've explained a little bit about HAM and how we work behind the scenes, but I really think it's so important for you to hear from a musician what HAM really means to them and means to this community. So I'm really excited because we have Jessica Bailey here, who is not only a very talented Austin musician, but she is a good friend. And I think she can tell you from a musician's perspective really how important HAM is to this community and to the music community and what it means to her personally to be able to have something like HAM in Austin.
Hi, I'm Jessica Bailey. I'm a singer-songwriter here in Austin, Texas. I play with the Honeysuckle Sage Riders, the Guy Forsyth Band, and my own Jessica and the Vanity Fair.
We have Jessica Bailey with us, and she's going to kind of share some about her experience with him.
Yeah.
It's nice to have you. Thank you
It's
for
nice to
coming.
be here. It was an honor to be asked. My story started a few years ago. I lived in West Texas. I'm from San Angelo, Texas. And I moved here 3 years ago without any insurance and honestly didn't have any idea or plan as to how I was going to get insurance. At that point, I had already had cancer twice. I had squamous cell carcinoma and basal cell skin cancer and had gotten past that at that point. But knowing that I had such a history already at 28, I knew that probably that would happen again, and it did. And luckily spotted it. I'm Guy Forsyth's wife. He's a known musician here in Austin. And when I saw that spot, I said, "Oh, I wonder what that is." And he just completely freaked out and was like, "You have to go in and get checked." I'm really proud to say that I am cancer-free as of now. Thank you. But one of the biggest reasons that Ham means so much to me is, my cancer has a 65% reoccurrence rate.
Wow.
And I'm a musician. I'm not making a whole lot of money, and Ham gives me hope. Ham offers me something that I haven't been able to get anywhere else. I tried getting insurance when I had that initial diagnosis, and it was really difficult. Eventually, I was told by MD Anderson to get a specific type of insurance, which I did, and then they told me they couldn't take it.
No.
So
And what was that doing to just like your whole overall mood? And
I felt like I was going to die. I felt like I was going to die.
Depressed and
It did, and it all happened around Christmas.
Oh.
I got diagnosed right before Christmas, and then everyone's out of the office for like 2 or 3 weeks. So I didn't have insurance, and I didn't have answers, and I was terrified. Oh, it was so scary. Nightmares, night terrors, and it really felt like no one cared if I died, because I'm just another person. The world is full of so many people, Luckily, I found a hospital in San Antonio, CTRC. It's a learning hospital, which means it comes with its own quirks, but they took care of me. And then I signed up with Ham. Because you have to be in Austin working as a musician for a year. So I started that right off the bat when I moved to Austin. And then everything has really just felt a lot brighter and more hopeful since I've been with Ham. Guy's also insured through Ham and has been for quite a while, I think. I know all of our friends that are musicians here are insured by Ham. And the peace of mind that it offers me and my friends and my family is substantial. I don't know that I could even describe it. And right now I actually have an interview in the calendar with Sims. I have been working with Sims for the past 2 years and going to counseling. I've been going to therapy, which is something that I've never experienced before. It's so helpful, and it helps you sort through so many things, and the peace of mind knowing that you can. And not only me, but my daughter. She's 9 years old, and she sees a therapist as well, because she's gone through her mother having had cancer 3 times. She remembers me doing topical chemo on my face. She couldn't touch me for months. She moved here. I mean, there's been so many things that she's gone through that I want to offer her the help and peace of mind that I wasn't offered to as a child. There's also the stigma that goes along with seeing a therapist or getting any mental health help, because people think that there's something wrong with you when you get help. And there's nothing wrong with you if you get help. I actually really respect people that can reach out and ask for help, because it shows that you're a strong person.
What really resonated with me after meeting with Renee Collins and the wonderful staff and team at HAM was just how great of a rapport this nonprofit has with the music community in Austin. I also realized that HAM respects and appreciates Austin musicians, and local musicians have a mutual love and respect for HAM as well. It's a beautiful thing.
People love to see the performances. They love to be a part of whatever's happening in the moment because, you know, let's face it, music is a part of everybody's life at some point.
Thank you for my green tea. I appreciate it.
You are most welcome.
So, tell me what's been going on. I know it's been a busy last 6 months or so for you.
Yeah.
What you been up to? Mr. Grammys, what you been up to?
That happened.
That happened?
That definitely happened.
Tell me what that was up like.
The whole experience was, you know, it was cool. It was very eye-opening, for sure. Being out there and seeing all the people out there performing in front of people that are my peers in music, you know what I'm saying, in a way, and not just people who wanted to buy tickets to a show. Like, those are other award-winning musicians and producers and performers and artists. And so when the lights hit, I was like, this is not a regular show. They do what I'm doing right now. And that was crazy. So being on tour is like doing the same thing day in day. I guess, you know, people have had that with their jobs in their life. But I don't think people's days and nights and the time starts to like blur together. You know,
doing the same thing.
Doing the same
over
thing, you know.
Yeah.
You know, get up, eat, work out, sound check. But like just having a routine like that, and just knowing that you're going out there with a purpose. Like my specific purpose is to be out there and sharing the love and the light through the gift of music. You know what I'm saying? That's why I have it. And I firmly believe that my purpose in life is tied to my gifts. And I firmly believe that my blessings, that everybody sees, you know, everything on Instagram and what's happening and all that stuff. But I firmly believe that everything that's happening in my life right now, people view as success, I think is tied to everything that's been happening the last 10, 12 years of my life. Like, I have a family at home. Yeah. And I believe that my blessings are tied to my family. And that's a really big part of my life. Family has been a big part of my upbringing.
Traveling and touring, you know, is it hard for you to find, you know, the time to kind of just like decompress and just rest?
Actually, this is funny. I find I get more time for rest on the road than I do at home, right? But the type of rest I get on the road sucks. Because it's like, oh yeah, you have time to maybe sleep or whatever. But, you know, you're spending 5 days on a tour bus, you know what I'm saying? That wears on the body.
Does that ever make you just feel kind of like low mood? Even though you're executing everything that you're doing, but you just don't feel kind of like balanced sometimes?
I think I learned to know, like, early on in touring at this level and being on this stage, like, you just gotta turn it on.
Yeah.
Like, just turn it on. You know what I'm saying? Just It's like you see athletes do it, they don't
Yeah.
feel like it.
It's like it's game time.
Yeah, turn it on. Because people feel that energy, and when they feel it, it's reciprocated, and that is an amazing feeling. So yeah, we have a space that we like work out music for sessions and all kinds of things here at the house. It's in the basement. I can show you if you want to check it out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to.
Let's do it.
Then E flat. Then it stays there. Then.
Have any artists that you produce that are kind of like message oriented whenever they're writing their lyrics?
Absolutely. One of my brothers and my friends, Chameleon King, formerly known as Brendan Foster, was one of the best at such a young age to like put a message in a song, convey that message, and make the point stick while vocally just like slaying everybody, in a sense. But he was very in tune with himself, you know what I'm saying, in the spirit. And when he wrote songs, he was talking to himself. One of the singles that we released, we never released the full album, but we released a couple of singles over the last couple of years. One was called Love Yourself, and the message is just that. You know what I'm saying? To love yourself, to treat yourself better, to trust yourself, to know yourself.
Can you hear a little bit of it, possibly?
Say,
Can you hear some of that?
this right here? Let's see if I can run it back real quick.
If you don't love yourself, you should love yourself. You got to love yourself. You got to love yourself. Hey, ain't nobody.
So, the other side that people don't get to see about musicians is like the struggling side. People love to see the performances. They love to be a part of whatever's happening in the moment because, you know, let's face it, music is a part of everybody's life at some point. You know, it's you know, at every moment in life there is music for something. For life, for death, for happy times, for sad times, for fun times, for
The soundtrack to our lives.
the soundtrack to our lives. Everybody has one, you know. And I think people not really understanding the full side of what artists go through and how sensitive artists can be to life and different things. You know, it's a different life. You know, the mindsets are different, the mentality is different. There's a struggle, but it's different. You know, to be creative, to have such a strong voice and not be able to express that voice how you know in your soul, in the deepest part of your soul, that it needs to be expressed. And get the quality and get the support that you need to make sure that that part of you is being out. Everybody doesn't always, you know, everybody around you doesn't always know what's in you, you know. So sometimes it gets hard to express that to its fullest. And he struggled with that a little bit. Struggled with that a lot. People not living up to his expectations.
Internalizing.
Right. So, so he committed suicide is what the findings, that's what they're telling us. But ultimately, he did not want to be here. And he made it known he did not want to be here. Medication did not change his way of thought. You clearly want something. And that's, I think, in him making a choice, it forced us to get a message out that he's been preaching for a very long time. And part of that message was not being heard. It's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call, for sure. You don't think somebody so bubbly, so full of life, on the other side would feel something that deep and feel so strongly about things that other people don't or take for granted, whatever. You know, everybody's perception is different, but our brother was telling us through music, through conversation, that this isn't what he wanted because of his reasons. And if he couldn't find it in this realm, he would find it in the next.
He was searching.
Yeah, he was searching, for sure, and he knew it. He knew he was searching. So what do you tell somebody who's on the journey and they know they're on the journey? Right? So, it sounds crazy to some, but others get it. So, peace to our brother. You know what I'm saying?
If you don't love yourself, you should love yourself. You got to love yourself. You got to love yourself. Hey, ain't nobody love you like you can. Have to sell your body, and you don't need a man. If you respect yourself, people will respect you. So just help yourself with these tips I'm giving you. It seems like you don't love yourself.